We're back. All right. Hi again, everybody. My name is Alicia, and today we are here talking about improving your English writing. But we are having a few technical problems, so I hope that you are able to clearly watch the stream on YouTube this week. So thanks very much for your patience. We've been trying to fix everything here, but I think we're gonna have to continue on without our Facebook watchers this week. Oh no, I'm sad. Okay, so as I've said a few times now today, for those of you who have been watching, today we're talking about improving your writing. So I'm gonna introduce a sample essay and talk about the structure of an essay. And we're gonna get started in just a moment. I lost the chat. We're going on YouTube. Where are you? There you are, YouTube. Hi. Okay, good. So, sorry for all that stopping and starting, but we're going to go just with YouTube today for Facebook. I'm sorry, Facebook viewers. Sorry, guys. We don't know. I don't know what happened. So, let's get started. Couple of things I wanted to share. Or no, can I share anything? No, we can't share anything. Okay. All right, I'm just going to go from over here then. So we're going to start today's lesson. I want to begin with introducing the basic structure of an essay. So when you are preparing your text, when you're preparing the thing you want to write, there are three parts to keep in mind. And those are these three things over here. So structure means like the organization, the way that you keep your information organized. So this, number one, the first thing is your introduction. Your introduction is the beginning part. Oh, great news! Our Facebook watchers are there. Yay! Everybody's here this week. Sorry. We had some very magical things happen, I guess. Thank you, guys. Thank you, technical team. Yay! Okay. So if you're just joining on Facebook today, we are talking about improving your writing. I just started here. So let's get back into it. So hi, Facebook. Welcome. Sorry for the delay today. Okay, so I was just explaining the basic structure of an essay. So when we make an essay, we think of an essay in three parts. So as I was explaining, the first part is your introduction. So the introduction to your essay is where you share what's called your thesis statement. Your thesis statement, this is a word that's used in like university level courses. Your thesis statement means your main point. So like what's your opinion or what's the thing you want to communicate to the person reading your essay. So that's called your thesis statement, It's very important to have a very clear thesis statement so that your reader understands your main point. So this is a key vocabulary word for today, a thesis statement. Okay, so in your introduction then too, it's a good idea to include a couple other points. So like, why are you writing this essay? So in other words, like, what's the reason? Why should we care? Why is this topic important? And then another thing to consider, why you? Why you? So this part, when I mean why you, I mean why are you specifically writing this essay? So especially if you're a university student or if you're preparing essays for like sharing internationally in like a journal, this can be important to indicate or to share why you personally are writing this essay, writing about this topic. So that's in your introduction. Your introductory section is about like introducing these ideas. Okay, the second part number two, an important key word for this lesson is the body of the essay. So the body is your main points, all of your main points. This means your research, your data, your opinions, quotes from other people. So all of the things that support this idea from your introduction. All of this information is in the body of your essay. This is the biggest part. So this is usually quite a long section. The introduction is fairly short. So the body part is where you share all of your main ideas, like where you're sharing your opinions and you're trying to convince the other person. Okay, good. Is Facebook still up? Okay, mysterious. Okay, so finally, the third point is your conclusion. Your conclusion. So conclusion means end. It's the finish point for whatever you're writing. In the conclusion, you need to recap. So to recap means like to cover something again. You summarize all of your main points. You summarize everything you shared in the body, and you remind your reader of your main like thesis point, your argument, your main idea. So these are the 3 points, the 3 key parts of an essay, a typical English essay. Okay, so those are 3: introduction, body, conclusion, and your main argument. So argument doesn't mean fight here. Your argument means the opinion or the idea you want to communicate to your reader. So those are the key points for the structure of your essay. Okay, and then can I share today's free things? Yes, I will show it here. Okay, cool. So before I continue on to the main part of today's lesson, the essay part, I do want to share free stuff with you guys this week. So we don't have any big sales anymore, but thank you if you checked those out. This week, just a quick reminder, if you have not checked it out already, we do have a bunch of free, I can't come around there, can I? Can I come around here? I'll come up here. Hi, camera. We have a bunch of free PDFs about a bunch of different topics. This one's about business English. I thought that this one would be good for this lesson because I know lots of you are working on improving your English for your careers or for your studies. So the Business English PDF here has lots of phrases on the back for a business meeting. This says business meeting here, yes, but there are some points here that are really good for discussing like an idea, so discussing an essay. So if you have like a university course or even a high school course with discussion, you can use some of these phrases. For example, like, what are your views on this? Or I don't really agree. So this is the business one, yes, but I think this is good for like getting some phrases for just formal discussions too. So check this out. You can find this from the link below the video if you're watching on YouTube, and if Facebook is up, you can find it above the video on Facebook. Okay, let's carry on. So, as I said, I don't know, did we lose our Facebook? Is Facebook gone? Facebook's still there? We don't know. Facebook is a mystery today. Okay, Facebook is still there. That's good. Okay, so today I'm going to move on then to the big part of today's lesson, which is an essay. So I prepared an essay. Oh, someone says, Alicia, what is essay? Oh, I keep saying that expression, essay. Essay. E-S-S-A-Y, essay, an essay. An essay is a piece of writing, a formal piece of writing. We write essays in high school, or we write an essay or a paper in university, an essay. That's the word. So not S-A, but E-S-S-A-Y. That's a piece of writing. So I made an essay today, so let's take a look at it. I have a lot to share with you. I'm going to move over here. Okay. Oh, is Instagram on? I forgot. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. I want to first just read the beginning part here, and we'll go through each bit piece by piece. So first, this part, let's look at this beginning part. So my essay is about smartphones. I wrote this about smartphones. It is, the first line here, smartphones, while useful, present serious problems. In this essay, I'll talk about the harmful effects of smartphones. I'll also share some ways to minimize these effects. So this is the beginning of my essay. This part right here is my introduction. So I talked about the introduction, how the introduction is like the point where you need to explain your main ideas, your introduction. So I have a couple points underlined here. So smartphones, I have this, while useful. So this is a really handy, convenient expression to use. While is used to mean even though. So I could say, even though smartphones are useful, they present serious problems, but that's quite long. So I use this pattern, smartphones, comma, while useful, comma, present serious problems. So we can use these commas to kind of present a but or an even though statement in our writing. It's very quick and very easy to use. Second, I move on to this expression. I said in this essay, or maybe in this paper. So here I'm clearly saying this is what I'm going to write about. So in this essay, I'll talk about the harmful effects of smartphones. The harmful effects of smartphones. Also, please note this is effects with an E. We use effects with an E when we're talking about, when we're using it as a noun. The harmful effects of smartphones. Then I said, I'll also share some ways to minimize these effects. Here I've got also. Why did I do this? Because I'm adding another key point. So in my first sentence here, I said, I'll talk about the harmful effects of smartphones. That's one. My second thing, I'll also share. So also comes before my verb here. I'll also share some ways to minimize. So to minimize means to make smaller, to minimize these effects. So this right here, these, refers to harmful effects, these effects. So you can see, even in this short introduction, I'm connecting my ideas together. So I'm not repeating the same thing like many times. I'm using words like these or this to refer to the essay itself. So this is my introduction. This is a sample introduction. Okay, let's move on to the next part. This next part is big, so let's read it in a group. So first, smartphones affect us negatively in a number of ways. First, smartphone use increases stress levels. According to a survey by the American Psychological Association, people who continually check their phones report higher stress levels than those who do it less frequently. I'll come back to this in a second. Then, second, checking notifications on smartphones leads to decreased attention span. If it's difficult, that's okay. Third, older workers may be better at focusing than younger workers, simply because they don't feel the need for distraction. Okay, let's stop here. Let's look at just this part right here. Let's go back to this this first sentence. So smartphones, first, affect. I mentioned this in the introduction here. This is using affect with an A. So affect with an A is used when the word is being used as a verb. We're using affect as a verb here. So smartphones affect us. Us means all people here. Affect us negatively in a number of ways. This is a really useful expression, which means in a lot of different ways or in various ways. So this is one useful thing you can do in your writing to show that there are many possibilities in a number of ways. Your preposition is in here. Okay, then I've underlined a couple points in this paragraph. If you joined our live stream maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about sequence words. So I talked about using first, next, then, second, and so on. I did it in this paragraph too. So I used first, and I used second, and I used third in this paragraph to introduce 3 points. So this helps the reader follow along. Like, okay, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. So this is really good to help you organize your ideas when you're writing, and it helps your reader understand like the steps as they are reading. Okay, good. let's take a look at this next one. I use this expression, which is very, very useful for quotes, for data, for research. According to, so this is the most important part maybe, according to someone, in this case, according to a survey, according to a book, according to a report. So according to a or an, some kind of reporting or data or research noun phrase. According to, this shows us, the reader, this communicates, this is not my information. I got this next information from someone else. And this is super, super important when you are writing essays. Okay. All right, good. So in this case, actually, this is real. This is a real source, actually. According to a survey by the American Psychological Association, this is true, people who continually check their phones report higher stress levels than those who do it less frequently. Okay, so there are some really important points here. This, first, these marks, this and this. So these are called, it's hard to see, I know, those tiny little marks. These are called quotation marks, quotation marks. So we put quotation marks when you're talking about information you got from a source. We put quotation marks around the text that we took directly from the source. So in this case, this marks the start, and this marks the finish point of the text I took from a survey by the American Psychological Association. So these marks show that this is not my information. This is something I took from this source. Then I have to finish this by showing where I got my information. So if I'm reading this paper or this essay and I want to know where can I read more about this quote? Where can I see more information about this? I look at this thing. So this is called an in-text citation. An in-text citation. In-text citation. So this shows me there are many different ways to make a citation, to make an in-text citation. This one uses my favorite, which is from a style guide, a very popular and commonly used style guide called the Chicago Manual of Style. So for this one, we use the author's name and the date or the year of publication. The author's date or author's name and the year of publication. In this case, the author's name was Bud. The year of publication was 2017. So at the end of my essay, I include a link or I include a reference to where a person can read more from this. So this is extremely important if you are a university student or if you write essays for publication, for journals and so on. Okay, so let's continue on. So I mentioned this second and third thing here, and then I want to go on to the next paragraph. So we've connected some ideas here, introduced some reasons, or rather we introduced some harmful effects of smartphones. And then here I talked about something else, a little different. So let's take a look. I said to practice building focus, studies recommend reading books. Also, make smartphone free time every day. Lastly, users can check their usage habits with monitoring tools on their phones. Okay, so a few points I want to look at here. To practice building focus. So a lot of people ask, like, how do I know when I should use the infinitive to plus verb or the gerund form, the ing form of the verb? Using to practice here, to practice building focus, think of this infinitive form as meaning in order to. In order to practice building focus. If that makes sense, then it sounds natural to use this infinitive form here. So the gerund form doesn't have that feel. In this case, we're talking about doing something like there's a reason, there's a purpose. The purpose is to build focus, so we recommend reading books. So this is a pretty good way to understand when to use the infinitive or the gerund form. Okay, then on to this point. I mentioned this in the introduction as well, this also. So I'm adding a point. This sounds a little better than and. Also, in this case, sounds a little bit more, it sounds a little nicer in text. So some people, some very strict teachers maybe will tell you don't use and at the beginning of a sentence. In informal speech, in informal writing, it's okay. I personally prefer also in something like this. Okay, onward to this next point. This is a really small point, but I hope that it helps you a lot in your writing. I know we can't zoom in today, but there's this tiny mark right here. This is called a hyphen or a dash, but technically a hyphen. I have it here with smartphone free time. This is really important to use when you need to closely connect two words. So in this case, smartphone free. Smartphone free means time with no smartphone. So why is this important? Why is this hyphen important? If I don't have this hyphen, it looks like smartphone free time, and that doesn't really make any sense. You might confuse the person reading. So when you need to show a close connection like that between two words, like smartphone and free maybe don't usually connect, but it's important to connect them. You can do that with a hyphen. So this is a more advanced writing point, but this can be very useful for making your writing a little more clear. Okay, let's go on to the next point. I have to finish soon though. I introduced the last point here in my body section with the expression lastly. Lastly, that means finally. Lastly, users can check their usage habits with monitoring tools on their phones. So this part right here, this is my body, the body of my essay. This is the body of my essay, so it introduces all the main points, everything that I want to communicate to support this argument, this idea I introduced at the beginning. I put everything in here. I put it all in here. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next part then. So the conclusion part of this essay is beginning with this expression down here. Hard to see, I think, but it says in sum, in sum. In sum is like a short way of saying in summary. So to summarize something means to put everything together in a short, easy to understand way. In sum, in sum. In sum, although they are convenient and entertaining, we should all be aware of how smartphones are affecting us negatively. We should take steps to ensure we minimize these effects so we can lead well-balanced lives. Okay, a couple points here. So this part, although they are convenient and entertaining, we should all be aware of how smartphones are affecting us. So this they is connected to smartphones. This they refers to smartphones. So this part right here, underlined in red, this is like one big even though statement. This is very similar to the pattern I used in the introduction here. So while useful, here I used even though they're convenient. So we can use this to show kind of contrasting ideas in our writing. So using while or even though, although, and so on. A couple of you wrote in the chat, in sum. Yeah, it's in, I-N, space sum, S-U-M, in sum, or to summarize, in sum, in sum. Yeah, X Caesar and the YouTube chat, you have it, nice. Okay, so finally, I ended this with this part right here, we should. So we should is a way to give a recommendation. So it's like saying this is what I think is the best thing. This is the next step. Okay. You might see some essays, some articles that finish with a recommendation, or they talk about like the next steps in their research. So this is quite informal. We should. In a more formal essay, you might see like recommended next steps are, like the recommended next steps are A, B, and C. So actually this essay is fairly informal. I made this a fairly casual essay, but you can use the same kinds of things, the same sorts of things to make your essay as well. So this part down here, this is my conclusion point down here. So this is a really quick introduction, really, to the basic structure of an essay. Introduction, body, conclusion. In my conclusion, I talk about my main point again up here. So as you write, you can revise. So to revise means to rewrite, like to check things and write them again. Angel, this is somewhat formal. Yeah, this is how we write a paper, how we write essays in English. Sirkan, yes, to sum up. Yeah, it is like to sum up. So to sum up, yes, you could use that. To sum up is used more in a meeting, though. I feel we don't use to sum up so much in writing. We use in sum or in summary more in writing. Selva, thesis. Your thesis statement is like your main point, your main argument, your main idea. That's your opinion, your focus opinion. Okay, good. Can I use, oh, great point. Hey, Garrison, long time no see. Can you use reductions like I'll in an essay? Great question. In this case, I used it here because it's a fairly informal essay. If you're writing a formal essay, I recommend not to. I recommend not using contractions. Maybe when you're presenting data, like the research showed we didn't succeed in this, or this was yes, you can maybe use it when you present data, but I personally don't do that. Okay. Finally, I did want to mention a little bit about citations, but we're kind of out of time. I will just say again, if you want to know more about citations, you can check style guides. My favorite is the Chicago Manual of Style. It's good for like books, novels, social sciences. If you are interested in journalism, you should try the Associated Press Style Guide. That's great for newspapers and other journalists. Other things are the MLA Style Guide, the Modern Language Association Style Guide. That's good for humanities. So those are 3 style guides. My favorite is Chicago Manual of Style. That's a great resource, an advanced resource if you're interested. But I have to go for today, unfortunately. So I hope that this lesson was useful. It was like a useful kind of sample that shows you how to connect your ideas and gives you the basic flow for your writing. So if you have questions, of course, please do send them in the chat. Please do send in the YouTube chat. I think we lost Facebook today. That's too bad. And then, let's see, what else do I need to do? Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, we do have free stuff for you as always. So please check out the link below the video on YouTube to get a bunch of free PDFs. I showed the business one earlier, but there are lots and lots of different topics. So there's shopping ones and hobby-related ones. There's food as well. So please take a look at this below the video. The link is below the video. Okay, so I'll finish there. We will be back again next week. Next week's live stream will be about the third conditional. The third conditional. Lots of you have asked about this. The third conditional is, for example, if I had or if I hadn't, that kind of thing. Unreal situations. So we'll talk about that next week. Please join us next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday evening. That's New York City time. So please check it out. That should be a good one, a challenging one for some of you, I think. So we'll finish there for this week. Thank you, as always, for watching and liking and sharing. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.